Well, hello, cuisines of the world, peeps. Welcome to week 2. I had fun grading your work. You guys had a lot of fun and did a lot of learning, but you guys now know that you're heading into week 3 and you guys are moving over to Africa and Europe. So make sure you choose your area of study. If you choose something too big, it's always a good idea to shoot me an email what your choice is, because trying to study the entire cuisine of Italy or France is darn near impossible. I'd love to give you a smaller area to focus your attention on. So keep that in mind as you're getting ready to look at your week 3. And remember, your week 2 dinner assignments are due on Tuesday, no later than 11:59 p.m. Central Time. And last but not least, some of you need to still get on the discussion forums. Remember, the kitchen table chat is worth 20% of your grade. So aiming for those full 10 points is just going to keep you smiling. So with that, how is everybody doing? We've got Magdalena and Sabra. I bet everybody else is doing Memorial Day weekend. What's up with you two? Why are you two here? Dedicated students. What are you guys thinking, you two? I'm going to unmute you now. Hope it's not too noisy. What are you two doing? What are you guys thinking?
I'm trying to stay focused. I have no time for the partying and the going on, so
yeah,
trying to make
like
it, trying to stay focused.
I'm going to have an A. In spite of everything, I'm going to have an A. Go, Sabra. What about you, Magdalena?
This is my day off.
It's your day off?
Yes.
That's it. That's funny. That's good, though. Good for you. Nice to have you here. Well, I'm going to actually throw a couple questions. So it's really just between you two. Chef Mark and I will add as it goes, but I'm going to start off the conversation with, what do you think is the reason people leave their country?
I want to say for some, maybe a better life, you know,
okay,
to experience something different.
Right, experience something different, maybe a better life. You can be more general than that. You can also think of like maybe their job, right? Hey, I got a job in England, something like that, right? So what are some horrible reasons why people have to leave their country?
I don't know, just being forced out, exiled.
Okay, forced out, exiled. The problem with living in the United States, we don't really have it bad. So it's hard for us to remember.
Yeah. The wars.
There you go, war, right? Think of what's going on in Syria right now. There's just very little left for people. So they got to get out of there. What about economics, guys? Anybody here ever leave a city because they didn't have a job and went somewhere else?
To be honest, my son just had to leave because where I live now, there's really no jobs. There, I mean, total tops, this may be 1,300 people here. Mm-hmm. And so he had to leave and go somewhere else.
I hear you. And that would be a reason why somebody has to leave their home's area to go to another place. So absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
You mentioned something interesting, Sabra, that we're going to focus on just a little bit, which is being forced out. There's a couple reasons you get forced out: religious persecution or enslavement. And enslavement would be, it's not that you are forced out, you are actually physically taken away. Big difference between those two. Big, big difference. But still, you're taken from where you were and you're placed in another place. So it's a good, keep those in the back of your mind. What other reasons? Anybody here ever work in the military? They move you all the time. It's part of your job. You get moved all the time. New base, new base. I was talking to somebody yesterday and they said, I don't have a hometown, chef. Every 18 months, my parents had to get up and move to a new base. So, yeah, there's one for you. What about marriage?
Yeah.
Interesting thought, isn't it? Now, how could that happen, guys? Besides the boy meets girl, boy or girl asks one or the other to get married, and they do. Besides that story, how could that work?
If you married somebody from another ethnic groups of yours, so they probably sometimes one of the two ask to the other if they would like more to move somewhere where she or her or he will feel himself better. So
Right.
it's not a question moving from countries to country, but just enough town to town or region to region. So.
Mm-hmm. Right? You could be a Italian in the Alps and marry a Swiss or a Frenchman from the Alps, you know, in just a slightly different region. Or here comes a fun one. How about mail order brides, kids? That's kind of crazy. But think of all those people coming from Southeast Asia who are marrying someone in, you know, Colorado. That's got to be a big change. So why do yeah, right? So why do you think I brought this subject up of why people leave their country? Because we think you're crazy, Janet. We have no idea what's in your head. We have no idea why you're making us go through this class anyway.
Good connection.
Hi, Teresa. She'll get started here. She'll get Teresa caught up, you two. We'll wait.
Hello, Chef.
Hello, Teresa. We're in the middle of the conversation, and Magdalena and Sabra are going to get you caught up.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead. Get her caught up, kids. We'll just sit here and wait. I wasn't paying attention. No, I'm joking. What have I been asking?
Why do they leave home to go to another city, another state, another part of the world? What reasons would they have to leave their home and their culture and stuff to come here, for instance?
So what do you think, Teresa?
To experience different cultures.
Okay, that's a good one. Give me more.
I like to travel. I love to try new things and new food. And that's why I like to go to different places.
That's wonderful. But we're talking about something deeper, which is when you have to leave your country.
Oh, when you have to.
Yeah. Not I get to choose to. It's oh my God, I have to get out of here.
Wow. That's a hard one, Chef.
Yeah? What did Sabra and Magdalena come up with? Can you remember? You can do this, kids.
I mean, I can say when you move from different country to here, here is a lot of dishes, vegetables, fruit. You don't know what is that because in your country, it's not. And here you can find a variety of everything. So, in cultures and food and a lot of things. So this is for this kind of a mixer. It's a mixture.
Well, what you're saying we're actually going to be moving to in just a second, Magdalena. So hold that thought because you're absolutely correct. So Sabra, can you go through a couple of the things, like why did your son have to leave your town?
Because there's no jobs here. I mean, there's nothing here.
Right. So
He can't make a living here.
great. So you leave. People leave because they have to go somewhere to make a living. That's one.
Yeah.
Teresa, can you think of another one?
That was a good one. No.
That's okay. Well, let me give you guys a rundown. War, you have to leave the area because there's no way you're going to survive if you stay in. Marriage, you marry from someone from another town, another state, another culture, and you have movement there, whether it's through choice or through purchase. And that's an interesting thing to think about right there. You have exile through religious reasons, or you have abduction and enslavement. So it's a lot to think about. Now we're going to come up with the next thing is, you're that person, you could be any one of those. What do you take with you when you leave? Think food.
Your cooking skills, you'll automatically have that.
Right, you got your cooking skills. What goes along with those cooking skills? You might cherish it if it was your grandmother's.
Your recipes.
There you go. Your home.
Prized possessions.
What'd you say, Sabra?
Your prized possessions.
Yeah, right. And here's we're going to sort of throw this at you as well. Maybe some seeds. Maybe some seeds that are from your home country. Maybe. So I'm going to show you guys something. Keep this all in mind because we're going to touch briefly on slavery in the United States. I'm not going to get very deep in it, just enough so that you guys understand that here we go. Here's the Americas. Here's the Caribbean. Here's Africa. And in the 1600s, up until Prohibition, the largest producer of rum was New England. Rum is made from sugar cane that was raised in the Caribbean. And they had to have people who tended those fields. So this is what is known as the Golden Triangle. You would make the rum that would go to Africa to take the slaves, to pay for the slaves, that would go to the Caribbean to harvest and tend the sugarcane fields, that would go to New England to make the rum. And this is a really important thing for you guys to realize, that trade and making money has done a lot of damage to humanity, but it's also done some positive things for humanity. But if you told me this right here, you know, in the 1600s, I would not have thought anything about it. But you tell me now in this day and age, and I'm like, that is the most horrible thing I have ever heard. But understand that this right here, a whole group of people were basically abducted and forced into labor they never wanted to do, to harvest a person's sugar cane to make something else. And one of the stories is black-eyed peas. Black-eyed peas are actually native to the western part of Africa. That's where they came from. Yet, if you asked anybody here, what's one of the most popular dishes in Southern cuisine? Black Eyed Peas.
Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, right. How'd that happen? How do you think the Black Eyed Pea got over from West Africa to our south?
Bring by the slave.
It was on the slaves somehow. Could have been jewelry. Could have been a necklace they were wearing. Could have been in a belt that they had or a pouch that they had. And it went to the Caribbean, guys. And then from the Caribbean, some of those slaves were sold to the southern states, and they brought what they had with them. But next time you guys take a look at the Black Eyed Pea, that has one of the most dramatic histories in American cuisine. So really appreciate where it came from, because it came from something that was horrific, horrific. So we touched on that a little bit, guys. Any comments you want to add to that, please?
I can't wait to tell my mama about it the next time she wants a big pot of Black Eyed Peas.
Well, that's
gonna be yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting heritage, you know, and I can tell you, it's like we're in Memorial Day weekend. Does anybody actually remember what Memorial Day weekend is about? It's the soldiers who died for us. Yeah. So history causes us to forget what things are about, and that's why I bring up the story of the Black Eyed Peas for everybody. You know, there is a reason why it is considered in the South one of the dishes for New Year's Day, right? Cornbread, greens, and Black Eyed Peas. Anybody know what the cornbread stands for? Gold. It's golden. It's golden.
Oh, okay.
Anybody know what the greens stand for? Money. Lots of money.
Yeah.
But the Black Eyed Peas, survival. And I thought, oh, that's so cool. Survival. You want the money, but you got to be able to survive. So, good luck. Corn is gold. Good luck. Green for cash, right? Black Eyed Peas, survival. All right. Although other people say, no, chef, it's about health. And I'm like, that's what survival means to a whole group of people. So, all right. Yeah. So let's go what Magdalena was talking about, because Magdalena brought up a great point. All right, so you come to the United States, and you could be the slaves who have the Black Eyed Peas, their yams, some of their greens, or you could be coming from Mexico, Central America, South America, and there are ingredients that you are familiar with at home, but you've come to a new country, and this product you're not familiar with. What do? You got to eat.
Yeah.
Magdalena might know. Magdalena, tell us, what do you do? What did you do? New country, weird ingredients. What did you do?
For example, I can say the rice. The rice in my country is probably two kinds.
Mm-hmm.
And here, I mean, we can find more variety of this, so in different ways to cook also. Mm-hmm. And then I can say, look just for recipes, the ways to cook, how we can put into our dishes, you know. So into food or, I mean, all this thing I can say for this one. Same with the beans.
Mhm.
And in Mexico, I am from Mexico, and we can maybe 2-3 kinds of beans. But here, we can use the beans into the salad, the black beans, and this thing, but in Mexico is very rarely, so to put into the salad. So it's another kind of thing, I can say.
So are you saying that you're looking at different ways to utilize the product?
Yes, because if you don't know, you can see the rice, the long, small, little more bigger, more small one. But this one, sometimes those are hard to cook if you don't know how to cook, because usually you go to fry the rice and it will be easy, So it's one of the things I'm been learning here.
Wow. That's actually really interesting. It must have been fascinating walking into a grocery store for the first time when you came into the US.
Yes.
What did you think?
The first thing when I can say, and I say, wow, why are too many kinds,
Lots
so
of choices.
probably it does come from different countries, so
Right.
Japan and yeah.
So did you find it a little stressful to have so much choice?
But I can say when I just come now, so I can go and I say, oh, I can take this one to cook in this way,
Mm-hmm.
It's more easy now, but at the first time, yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting, guys. I'm so glad you were part of this, Magdalena, because you just gave me new insight. As think about it. Let's say you're coming from Syria, where bombs. You're already under stress. You come to the United States. You walk into your first U.S. grocery store, and we're talking Safeway, right, or Kroger, or whatever you guys have in your area. Wouldn't you start breaking out into a sweat? So much to choose.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Sabra. What were you going to say?
I was just gonna say I'll probably break down and right in the middle of the grocery store, to be honest.
I know. How would you know what to buy? They probably have, just think of the produce section. They probably haven't seen that amount of produce in years.
Yeah.
Wow. It just gives you a different viewpoint. Well, let's get beyond that idea of being overwhelmed. Oh my goodness. Well, let's get a little bit let's move on from the overwhelmed and take a look at what's there. We'll just do the produce section. And I'm coming from another country. And what do you think might be the first thing I would end up trying to make to feed my family? What do you think would hold dear to them? Go ahead, Chef Mark.
Probably they will try to find out some produce that will remind them what they used to cook in their country.
Right, like what?
Quick bread, like if they're Syrian, quick bread, some, I would say some chickpeas, some.
Okay. What's the most comforting thing you guys can think of from something you could cook?
Different kind of peas, pasta.
Could be. Maybe some pasta. What do you guys think about stew?
I was going to say that, Chef, gumbo or a stew.
Right, some kind of stew, something that you could put into one pot because that might be all you have right now. Yeah, I like that, Teresa. Yeah. Something that they can feed their family, maybe make a fresh loaf of bread, because that's kind of quick enough, but it's going to make the house smell good and smell like something you're familiar with. So let's talk about this idea of familiarity, because you guys spent week 1 and part of week 2 doing a, what makes great food great discussion. And with that discussion, guys, it kept coming up over and over again about the family, friends, the atmosphere. So I guess my question for you guys is this. Is there more to food than just cooking it? And if there is, what is it? What is it?
To me, when I'm in the kitchen, I'm the happiest person in the world. I mean, there's not too much you can do to me if I'm in the kitchen, because that's my home. I mean, if I could turn my whole house into just one big kitchen, I would.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And I think my kids know that too. I usually cook these big meals on Sundays, but I told them I wasn't cooking today. And they had this look on their face like, what am I going to do today?
Wow.
But, I mean, and it is just, for me, it's just being around family, because I spent so much time until I was 12, until my grandmother passed. I was always in the kitchen when she cooked, and she was buzzing around and going, and I'm looking and I'm enjoying this. And so when she passed is when I really got into it, and I was like, well, I'm going to keep this up. This is a tradition. And then I watched my mama do it, and now she's not able to do it. So she told me, you're the next one in line. So, and I'm on it. I'm loving it. So, I mean, I just love to see people eat. I like to feed people. If that makes any sense. I just like to see people eat.
That joy. That's cool. Teresa, Magdalena, what are you thinking?
I love it because when you're in the kitchen with your family, the conversation is positive, everyone's relaxed, they're happy, and I say everyone in my kitchen, everyone's in their zone. If, like, my sister loves to barbecue on the grill, my mom likes making a salad and a side, so everybody has their zone. And then as more family starts coming in, I like to watch them just kind of jump in and start to help and, get things together for dinner, and you're just so happy to see them. It's, that's what I like, the networking with the family part.
Love it. Love it. What about you, Magdalena? You can type it if you want to, whatever you feel comfortable with, because I have muted you. You're unmuted now.
Is ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I can say here in my family, I always am looking to find a new recipes, flavors, and then sometimes my family, they say, oh, Mom, are you doing experiments? What about to go to Mexican food? Or when are you going to cook Mexican food? Because always are you trying to find another different dish, So it's because I want to everyone to taste veggies, another kind, So, and it's fun. It's fun. It's
good.
Fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Chef Mark, what about you? I know you got a point of view on this.
No, but for me, cooking is all the pleasure. So the big regret I have in this house where I'm renting is the kitchen is too small, so I can't really interact with the people when they come, or with the family anyway, even. So it's a pleasure. It's tiring. Sometimes cooking every day, 2 meals a day. It's tiring. It's even more tiring when we compare with the restaurant. It's some things. Cooking at home, it's another. Cooking at home, it's all question of experimenting things. not just cooking. I know that all my cooking is my background come from my mother and my grandmother. So I use now, before I replicated the dishes. Now with the training I had here and the training when I had in the kitchen, professional kitchen, the funnier things and exciting things for me, it's to cooking using another way, trying my own reflection in it, putting my own thoughts, and trying to mix things that they should not be able to be mixed together. Sometimes it's a success, sometimes it's a bad idea, but anyway you do it.
Yeah, I hear you.
And because I've got two kids, they don't have still a palate, they don't have still real taste, so sometimes it's they crush me down, you know.
Who does
They
it?
decide to give me notes, so that this is 5 to 10, this is 9 to 10, this is not good.
No.
Don't do it anyway. So it's to come back in this this cuisine of the world. It's to say that it's still the connection between people.
Mhm.
The food made connection between people and made connection between you as a cook, as a chef, with the audience that you have,
Right.
your guests, your family. So it's the way for me to get connection again with my family, like I used to have it with my grandfather. I usually at the table, and what I try to explain to my kids, it's when you sit on a table and eat, usually it should be a silence around and just take care about what you eat and have a small talk. Just tell, okay, what you think. Here now, it's always chat. I have two chatty box here, so you can't eat really. Like, it's not religion, but usually before 20, 30, 50 years ago, the table was the only way, the only place where everybody could talk to each other and
Right.
explain the day, how they spend the day.
Right.
Today, it's more common. Okay, put it.
Put your phone down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put the phone down or disconnect from the email. I'm do it also. Yeah. Anyway,
Let's sort of try, because I have to move on to the next one. You guys are doing a great job, but a couple things I'm going to point out. It doesn't matter what culture and where you go to. You cook because it makes you feel happy most of the time. Not everyone is happy cooking, but you guys obviously are. 2, sustenance for the people that you love. Meaning not only are you feeding them physically, but somehow the conversation you guys talked about is you guys shared something during the cooking process or sitting at the table. That's really cool. And then I'm going to point out a couple of things that both Sabra and Chef Mark, the connection. And the connection can be all the way back to someone in your history, such as Sabra's grandmother, this sort of line of great cooks taking it on and you're part of a legacy. Or it could be like Chef Mark was talking about, you're all sitting at the table and you're just taking, even if it's 10 minutes of eating and saying how your day was. So you sort of carry this community forward. And most people who go to another place bring something from their past and try to keep a connection going. And that is really fascinating. So sort of pay attention as you're walking through and you see someone who may not be from your culture, maybe they're new to the area, and just sort of see how they're doing. Touch base with them. Hey, how's it going? What can I help you with? Because they're going through this trauma and they're trying to make connections, and you could be helping them make that connection. Now, any questions on that? Because you guys did a great job. Anything you want me to touch on? You guys are so good. You're like, we're on it, chef. We got you. All right. So I'm going to bring up something. I'm going to show you guys something here. It popped up onto my board this weekend. Let's see. I'll show it to you. Yeah, this is the one that popped up on my board this weekend, which is a Portland burrito truck got closed down because of something known as, let's see, there it is. Portland burrito cart shutters after being accused of cultural appropriation. So I went ahead and under Cook's Guide, put something up for you guys to look at if you choose. And first we're going to start off with, does anyone here know what cultural appropriation means?
I think that the simpler thing is to take some things from another country, another religion, and make it your own, or use it to create some things, or to use it as your own element. Make sure that
you're close. You're really, really close. Not quite, but very close. Anybody else? It is to take someone else's idea or culture and make it your own, but through demeaning it or sexualizing it or not giving credit to the culture it came from. The example I would give is this. Just because I am a 1/64th Cherokee does not give me the right to wear a headdress. One, Cherokees don't wear headdresses. So it's not even part of my culture. It's part of someone else's culture. But for me to put on a headdress and say, I'm Cherokee, so therefore I can wear it, is one, misrepresenting the culture, and two, perhaps demeaning the culture it came from and disrespecting the culture that it came from. Another example would be if I walked in and I told you guys, I make the best Mexican food of anyone in the United States. One, no proof. Two, I'm not Mexican. And we all know that there are Mexican people who can make Mexican food better than I can. And three, my arrogance to think and state that I make it better than anyone else. And that demeans a whole larger population of people who are from Mexico, such as Magdalena, who probably can run rings around me and make Mexican food. So it's part attitude and it's part representation. So I'm going to give you the story of this Portland burrito cart. Two young white women traveled to Mexico, to a little town, and they fell in love with the burritos there. So they asked if the women who are making these burritos for their living, if they would teach them how to make them. And the women said, no, we're not going to do it. So the young women started peeking into windows and sneaking around to try to get the information. And when they got whatever information they could, they went back to Portland and created this burrito truck. And they told the story how they did this, which is the perceived as they stole the idea from people who did not want to share. So what do you guys think? Did they do right or did they do wrong? Or were they somewhere in the middle?
I think that they done the Lucia things that they try to convince people that there are tacos from there. If they had explained we were inspired by it to do it, it would probably still open today because nobody will be able to or will have the opportunity or the reason to ask them to shut down the truck because it was a plagiat. So, because, well, to be honest, you don't have copyrights on burritos. So.
Well, on food, you don't have a copyright on food.
Yeah, you don't have. So, if you are clever enough to understand how the thing is done, you can find your way to make it. Give it a name, whatever it is, and explain it. Okay, it's my take of the thing. But
well, I liked how you said, look, these burritos are inspired by my trip down to Mexico, which people would probably accept. But the two young women said, we snuck around and stole these ideas from these people who did not want to share them.
Yeah, it's just pretty stupid.
Yeah. They're, you know what? Yeah, they got closed down because they're stupid. But what do you guys think? I mean, you know, let's go back to that black-eyed pea. You ask anybody in the South, black-eyed peas are a staple in the South. But is it cultural appropriation because they came from Africa? I mean, should black-eyed peas just stay in Africa and remove it from our food banks?
No.
Oh, no.
No, that sounds silly, doesn't it? That sounds like that's the stupidest thing you've ever said, Chef. Well, I meant it to be. I meant it to be. So let's sort of think about, as Chef Mark said, maybe there's a different approach to it so that we are always, what do you think, respectful of the culture? Did I lose everybody? Darn it.
We can hear you still. You're frozen, but we can hear you. Come back. To follow this question, do you think that appropriated itself a recipe or trying to recreate a dish from another place is considered as a plagiat, or you think that if you respect the culture, you can make it?
Yay, I'm back. What are you guys talking about?
No, I just asked them the question, if you decide to take a cultural dish and created it, but with the respect of the culture and the process to make it, if they consider it as the stealing the recipe for their own, or if they think that it's a natural way to involve and to help their creation. So this.
And what did you guys think? Did you respond to that?
Not yet.
Okay, just checking.
If I got a recipe from somewhere else or from somebody else, I'm going to let them know, whoever I'm cooking it for, I'm going to let them know this isn't mine. I got this from somewhere else, because I don't want somebody coming along later on down the line and chewing me up or getting me in trouble saying that, you know, that I disrespected it or that I stole it. No, I'm just recreating it. I'm going to tell you where I got it from. It's not mine.
Right, perfect. And, you know, we're constantly adopting and adapting. You know, a new culture comes in, and then all of a sudden we have Korean barbecue places, and we're like, God, this is awesome. So we go home and we try to find out what's a Korean barbecue. And then we find out, and then we start tweaking it a little bit to sort of make it our own, but it's still an adopted process. And we do it constantly. We go back to the black-eyed pea. It would be stupid of us to get rid of it, but it has now become adopted as part of our Southern culture. Getting rid of it would be like getting rid of an arm now. So it sort of becomes part of who we are in essence. The conversation that, you know, this cultural appropriation I'm talking about with you guys is becoming a big deal. And in certain parts of our country, and funnily enough, only our country is dealing with this. Only our country. You talk about it with anybody else, anywhere else in the world, and they think we are crazy. But here in this country, there is a large conversation going on about identity. And it goes all the way down to food. And one student said to me, "You're not going to talk about politics with food, are you, Chef?" And I'm going to say, "I'm so sorry. We kind of have to, because you can't get away from it. You can't get away from it." So, but how we think about it and how food and cultures combine can make a really big difference on how you relate to each other. I would love all of you guys to be able to sit down and talk about your food culture, what you grew up with, and then watch you guys learn from each other. And if you look at that week 1 discussion forum, that's what you guys did. How cool was that? That was cool. So, yeah, right? All right. Any question? By the way, get online. There's another one, Rick Bayless. This is the other idea of cultural appropriation. Anybody knows who Rick Bayless is? It's okay if you don't. He is a very famous American white man who has made his name off of cooking some of the best Mexican food out there. He's got Frontera out of Chicago, very well respected. The difference between Rick Bayless and those 2 young women from Portland is that annually he goes to Mexico and he finds people who are willing to teach him about the culture, the respect for the food, and the cooking process. And he has always said in every book he writes, every video he has, he owes his knowledge to the men and women in Mexico who have taught him this. So he does not say, I stole this idea, nor does he say, it's mine. He is always respectful towards the culture that he got it from. And but there is still a conversation going on. Can you become rich and famous on the back of someone else's idea? Something to think about. I do not have an answer, but you guys are going to face the question of what cultural appropriation is in relationship to food. And just be aware it's there. And I think you guys have the answer, which is treating everything with respect will probably keep you on the safe side. All right, my friends, any questions? Any threats of violence? No? Okay, just checking. Just checking. I'm going to wish you all a very happy Memorial Day. Chef Mark, any last words?
No, it's fine. You were great. So yeah.
No worries. All right.
Just be curious.
Yep. Be curious, but respectful. All right. Thank you for your time, guys. I appreciate you. Be safe out there, okay?
Okay.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Chef Mark.
No problem. See you later.
Oh, yeah. Bye, guys.